A utility company's proposal to rat out hidden marijuana operations to police raises privacy concerns, you guys. That's right. Operators of illegal marijuana grow enterprises hidden inside rural homes in Maine don't have to worry about paying neighbors, but their staggering electric bills may give rise to a new snitch, you guys. That's right. An electric utility made an unusual proposal to help law enforcement target these illicit operations, which are being investigated for ties to transnational crime. Critics, however, worry the move would violate customers' privacy. More than a dozen states that legalize marijuana have seen a spike in illegal marijuana grow operations that utilize massive amounts of electricity. And Maine's Versant Power has been receiving subpoenas, sometimes for 50 locations at a time from law enforcement, said Arian Merrick Stockdale, corporate counsel. Said, it'd be far more efficient, he suggested, to utility regulators to flip the script and allow electric utilities to report their suspicions to law enforcement. In a quote, Versant has a very high success rate in being able to identify these locations, but we have no ability to communicate with law enforcement proactively, Merrick Stockdale told the commissioners. The proposal to be deliberated next week by the Maine Public Utilities Commission is being criticized by consumer privacy advocates and others who think the utility is veering outside its lane. The nonprofit Electric Privacy Information Center believes such a regulatory rule would be unconstitutional because the electric utility would be allowed to provide private information about customers with no probable cause, no warrant, no judicial review, says Alan Butler, the group's executive director, told the Associated Press. The Washington-based group has never heard of a proposal like this, he said, though federal courts have authorized the sharing of consumer data from so-called smart electric meters for the limited purposes of managing the power grid, you guys. Jay Stanley, an American Civil Liberties Union privacy expert, compared a utility combining through Jay Stanley, a Civil American Liberties Union privacy expert, compared a utility combing through customer data to an illegal dragnet. Utilities should not be doing that. They have a duty of protecting their customers' privacy, he says. Historically, the courts have given special privacy protections for what happens inside a home, and the U.S. Supreme Court in 2001 ruled that federal agents use of thermal imaging equipment without a search warrant to detect heat from marijuana grow lights inside an Oregon man's home was unconstitutional. We've seen them do that a lot on the East Coast as well. The Maine utility regulatory proceeding comes as law enforcement officials target marijuana grow operations in which rural homes are purchased, gutted, and transformed into sophisticated, high-yielding indoor farms, you guys. All told, 20 states have been dealing with phenomena similar to what's happening in Maine, and the common denominator is that criminals appear to be taking advantage of laws legalizing marijuana in an attempt to fly under the radar to produce marijuana that's sold in states where cannabis is illegal. The FBI and DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration, are investigating any ties these operations might have to criminal syndicates, including Chinese organized crime, you guys. In Oklahoma, farms, empty nursing homes, bowling alleys, and warehouses were transformed into marijuana production operations after voters legalized cannabis for medical use back in 2018, and police began cracking down after realizing straw owners in China and Mexico were running many of the unlicensed operations, said Mark Woodward, spokesperson for the Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics. In Maine, it looks different with purchases of low-price homes in off-the-beaten-path locations, installations of power-hungry grow equipment, and upgraded electrical service to support the operations. Police have taken note of that power consumption at one of the homes busted in Maine. The monthly electric bill grew from about $300 to nearly $9,000, according to court documents. There were more than 100 of them at one point. The grow houses operate according to a similar playbook regarding the kinds of residences used and interior setups with powerful lights, climate control, and chemicals. However, they're not linked together like a typical franchise arrangement, making it difficult for law enforcement agencies to link them to a single syndicate, Assistant U.S. Attorney Andrew Lizotti told the Associated Press. In Somerset County, Sheriff Dale Lancaster, whose deputies have executed search warrants on 21 marijuana operations, said law enforcement works best with community support, and he described Versant's proposal as a, in quotes, good first step, you guys. Republican Senator Susan Collins, who has aggressively pressed the FBI about illegal marijuana operations, also supports Versant's efforts to be an ally with law enforcement agencies, and in a quote says, cooperation between Maine's electric companies and law enforcement could be of tremendous help to the county sheriffs and other officials who have been working tirelessly to target these illegal grow operations, she says. Versant's proposal was discussed by the Maine's Public Utilities Commission earlier this year, and Versant pointed out safety concerns for its workers and the public, including potential fires from overheated equipment caused by improper customer installations, and some workers have noted electric matters that were too hot to touch at the illicit operations, you guys. But Derek Davison, a member of the commission's staff, mused about the possibility of a threshold for reporting electric consumption spikes to police, but noted that there are sometimes legitimate uses and says in quotes, who just have astronomical usage, you guys. Mark Morissette of Central Maine Power said it's, in quotes, seems like an eerie line to even consider crossing, and backed his call for caution with an example of a hundredfold increase in electricity consumption after a flood, which necessitated temporarily heaters and fans to dry it out. CMP, the state's largest electric utility, now formally opposes the change, but will continue to fully cooperate with law enforcement if customer information is requested through a subpoena, said spokesperson Jonathan Breed. Well, you guys. Oh, hold on. There's a little bit more. My bad. Maine Public Advocate William Harwood is also against the proposal, arguing there are too many legitimate reasons for growing customer consumption, such as the installation of heat pumps and electric vehicle charging stations, and says, in quotes, we believe that utilities should focus on consumer needs and service to consumers rather than alerting law enforcement to questionable consumer behavior, he said. Interesting, you guys. Man, oh man. It sounds like Maine is trying to do basically what Amsterdam did to root out all of their illicit grows, which pushed everybody over to Barcelona and throughout Spain. But man, oh man, I do think it's a privacy violation, but I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
It's nothing new.
Privacy don't exist no more.
Hold on, one at a time.
That's true.
People have this belief that they have a right to privacy, and I'm just telling you that concept is very tenuous today. And I don't know if these utilities are actually state actors or considered part of the state. If they're a private business, then there's no obligation that they keep anybody's information private and give it up if they want. And the other issue here is reporting that you've got an excessive amount of electricity. I don't think it's probable cause by itself. It may be a suspicion to go out and check and see, does somebody have an EV charger, or they put in a heat pump? Anything you can see lawfully, you can see in plain view from a lawful vantage point, you can go out and look and see and do some investigation, see if there's a reason they might be jumping this up. And right now, people give up so much information all the time and then want to scream, I have a right to privacy. And the problem is that if you give it up to non-governmental entities, and what right to privacy do you have?
I'm glad you said that, Dale, because as always, I follow the money on this one. And so Versant Energy in Maine is owned by NMAX, which is a large Canadian energy conglomerate, and they have been making a major push towards renewable energy. over the last few years. Over the last 12 years, they've been heavily committed in switching over everything to renewable sources, right? And so this whole thing, in my mind, if you look at the big picture, they're trying to push people to get pissed off, get this in the headlines, and you're going to see a massive shift for people who actually care about privacy to move over to solar, to wind power, and other renewables, because they've made a major investment over this. In the last few headlines, big headlines that they've been in, listen to this. So NMAX named is in April 17th. NMAX named one of Canada's greenest employers. April 9th, NMAX works toward resilient grid through partnership with several solar and wind powered companies. NMAX announces Capital Power evaluation, and their ESG report tops the list of all Canadian companies. This is the Green New Deal is coming to Vermont. Jason?
This is Maine. This is Maine we're talking, not Vermont. It's right next to there, though. It is close, very close. Very, very close.
It's Canadian invasion, Jason. Y'all talking about the southern border.
Lord.
This is
I've already been talking about
north.
Canadian invasion. I've been saying we need a wall there too.
Right?
Oh my goodness.
Right?
A wall, not a walls.
They're coming
not
for
a
your
walls,
energy.
not a walls. Definitely not a walls. Yeah.
I mean, this is not a new thing. This is not a new thing. This happened in Colorado, and it was widely known that it happened in Colorado. So, like, you're kind of figure out your meter and try to figure out how to roll your meter back or whatever shady stuff you might do. I might suggest they switch from those double-ended HPS and go grab some LEDs just to kind of maybe mitigate some of that risk. But that's just throwing that out there for whoever might be interested.
I'm confused a little bit by this, Dale, and I would love your legal perspective on this, because this article references the smart meters, and I know that in LA they have most of the commercial buildings have smart meters on them now, and I know that if that LAPD, not LAPD, but LADWP, which is the LA Department of Water and Power, they have a thing that if you have abnormally high power usage, you go on list A, and if you are ever late on paying on your bill, then you go on list B, which list B is shared with LAPD.
I mean, I think the main takeaway here is steal other people's power.
Well, we're definitely not advocating for that.
If it's an official government agency and it's viewed differently than a private company sharing information, and these smart meters, it helps you, understand your bill, because it gives information back to the company about what your usage is, so they can bill you. But my question and concern would be, is there some administrative rules here? This is an official government agency, and they can get an administrative warrant to go out and look around to see if your excessive electrical use is related to something nefarious. And the cat's out of the bag already. And the real bottom line here is that people that think they have a right to privacy, they're blowing smoke up their own ass, because you really don't.
I'd be very wary of any company raising their hand and saying that, oh, we snitching.
Yeah, right.
Run fast.
I heard the hell out of that.